Okay, it's 5:30. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions in the open meeting law, GL Chapter 38, Section 18, and Governor Healy's March 29th, 2023 revised order extending remote participation by all members in any meeting of a public body. This meeting of the Select Board will be conducted both in person and via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and a requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website. Committee members and members of the public may attend this meeting in person or remotely. Instructions for remote access can be found at the top of the agenda. Every effort will be made to ensure that those attending the meeting remotely can access proceedings in real time via technological means. Pursuant to MGL 7C 38, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording of an open session of a meeting of a public body, may transmit the meeting through any medium. Beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recording. The open session is going to be recorded by the Berkshire Edge and the Berkshire Eagle, and other members of the public may. Any members of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. So we're going to go to, yeah. It is being recorded, right? Yeah, sorry, Claudia. It is being recorded by this. Yeah. We will go into executive session on MGL Chapter 38, Section 21A3 for the following purpose: to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, the chair so declares, which I do declare. We will reconvene in open session. Do I have a motion?
I move that the board meet in executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 38, Section 21A3 for the following purpose: to discuss strategy with respect to litigation against the town concerning host community agreements for marijuana establishments, Dairy Wellness, Community Growth Partners, Rebel, High Minded LLC, Farnsworth, and D2N2 LLC, Calyx.
Second.
Roll call. Ben, Garfield, Eric, Lee,
Aye.
and I. So we will come back into open session as soon as we are done. Can you turn off the air conditioner and the fans and all that? Okay, call the meeting back to order. We're going to convene into joint session with the Finance Committee. We'll start with a roll call because Ann is online. So we'll start with a roll call of the Select Board. Ben, here. Garfield, Eric, here. Lee, here. And Steve is here. Finance Committee.
Here, Richard, here, and you there? There you go.
She's got to unmute herself. Yeah. Okay.
I'm here.
Perfect. You want to go ahead?
Sure. Okay, so in your packet for this evening's packet that was on our website are 6 additional year-end transfers from 5 different departments. The board's approved the first round a few weeks ago.
Mark?
Included on each of these.
We can't hear her at all. Ann, can you hear us?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, but we can't hear you. So
Can't hear me? I'm unmuted. No.
no one in the room can hear. I'm the only. It's not coming through the owl. Let's see if we can fix this.
Hello? Any better?
Now
I'll
let's see if we can fix through the owl.
Yeah, is that any better?
I can hear you quite well now.
Can you just say something again? Sorry.
Yeah, let me just, can you hear me any better?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
I'll start over. So in your packet for this evening, and
Okay, let's have the discussion up here, not in the audience. If you want to do it in the audience, go in the hallway, please.
in your packet for this evening.
It's very difficult to hear.
I'm having a hard time
hearing. Yeah.
In the packet for this evening, was 6 additional year-end transfers from 5 departments. And as I stated a minute ago, you approved the first round a couple of weeks ago. Finance Committee approved the same first round a couple of weeks ago also. Each one has a brief, very brief explanation on the sheet that includes an explanation of needs from each of the departments. These are transfers that are permitted by the state, by a state statute actually, during the last 60 days of the fiscal year. And the departments, just to be clear, are not seeking any additional funding. We're just looking to fill deficits in some budget lines with surpluses in other budget lines so that we can close out fiscal 24. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to address them. I think some of our department heads are here as well, but
So just to clarify, you said the transfers are allowed in the last 60 days of the fiscal year. Obviously, we're allowed to do it after the end of the fiscal year.
yes, so we don't actually close the fiscal year out until the 15th of the month. And as far as transfers go between ops and between salary lines, we can do those, we're permitted to do those internally. And we do throughout the year as needed, but anytime you cross from ops to salaries or salaries to ops, it requires approval from both of these boards within the last 60 days.
Now, if, a quick look suggests there was some more transfers this year than prior years. Are there any larger trends that are behind that, or is this happenstance?
Yeah, actually, a number of the transfers were related to the 2 departments that we transitioned this year from. If you remember, our HR department went from a shared HR director to a full-time Great Barrington department. So that accounts for some of these transfers. The same is true for our building department. We transitioned from a building inspector and assistant building inspector after Ed May retired to a regional building department with Great Barrington being the host. So we took on a number of new employees for building inspectors and all of the benefits that come with new employees and so on. We did budget for both of those departments in fiscal 25 appropriately, but since we're in a transitional year in FY 24, we're just using funds from other lines that that have surpluses to kind of help us get to fiscal 25.
And roughly, the shared building inspector model, roughly when did that go live?
October 1st. But we weren't fully staffed until this. Staffed until a month or so. But again, we did budget appropriately for FY 25 and we did the best we could in fiscal 24, not knowing, of course, when we created that budget that we would be transitioning. The other reason you're seeing some substantial transfers this year is that we were short 7 police officers. So as a result of forcing shifts to cover shift, we have a lot of overtime. We have since recruited 7 new officers. We did lose another officer recently. So we're almost back to full staffing, but I think the significant issues with overtime should be behind us at this point.
So do you want us to vote on these separately? Can we vote?
You can vote on them as a package.
Bill, are you okay with that, or do you want to go through each one individually?
Yes. Were there any corrections in?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. The transfer that's from DPW that says, from labor landscaper, $37,000 to buildings and grounds, $34,000. That is a typo. Those two numbers should balance. So the actual number is $34,000.
For the select board, do I have a
And can I
Yes.
just, and Mark, I just want to clarify, so and we have two transfers for the same amount coming from different budget lines, but both going into the building and grounds repairs for the police department cells and air conditioning in the booking room, correct? So it's a total of 68,000 for that particular item.
That's correct.
And this was an air conditioner that broke down I guess unexpectedly, or some needed repairs that came up during the year that were not anticipated. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's a heat pump, so heating and air conditioning for our cell blocks and our booking room at the police department.
Do I have a motion to accept the transfers as elected?
Steve,
So
do you want to
moved.
finance? Oh, okay.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion for the select board? Roll call vote Ben.
Aye.
Garfield.
Aye.
Eric.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
And I, it's unanimous. Bill?
All right, I'm okay to approve them in bulk as well, unless there's any objection. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer from the labor landscaper to building and grounds for 34,000.
And I did propose that we do this in bulk altogether, if that's okay with you?
Oh, is that what the select board's doing?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I misunderstood, but I will make this, I will withdraw my previous motion and I'll make the same motion that we approve the end of year transfers as in the meeting packet.
That's correct.
we have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Ann?
Aye.
Ann? Donna?
Aye.
Richard?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you. To go forward, just a reminder that you get signatures from you as well. Were the sheets in tomorrow? They were, the transfers.
Oh.
You might want to just check the folder.
And we sign
You can sign that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna resume the regular select board meeting, select board's announcement and statements. Ben?
Nothing for me.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Eric.
Nothing.
Lee.
Just a shout out to the Lake Mansfield Improvement Task Force and to all the community members that have worked over the years to reopen the Lake Mansfield project. I recommend everyone going down there. It's absolutely beautiful. It's protecting our delicate ecosystem and increasing accessibility to residents and visitors alike. So it's a wonderful thing. So and special thanks to our Assistant Town Manager, Chris Rumble, for all his work securing grants. And yeah, it's just a really, really nice thing. So congratulations, everyone.
Town managers report, Mark.
Great, thank you. I'm gonna jump around in here, sorry, just cover these out of order, just to get the Houston Waterworks and the tax bill update out of the way before I jump into the bridge update, which should take a little while. So Houston Waterworks, my update for this evening is that I really have nothing new to report, but I did want to take this opportunity to remind everyone that our relief program is still open and will be for the foreseeable future. There's still plenty of time. The funding doesn't expire until the end of fiscal 26. Our website has a fillable PDF application posted on the select board page for anyone that would like to use that, or there are paper copies here available in the lobby downstairs and in my office for anyone that would prefer that. It is again $300 per household to cover the costs associated with filtration, with bottled water, and with laundry related expenses. We are still getting applications, by the way. We're not getting many, but we're still getting some. Tax bills, I just wanted to apologize to everyone here and everyone at home for the error in our recent tax bill mailing. The vendor we use accidentally printed the fiscal 24 file, but has since both reprinted and remailed new fiscal 25 bills. I know it caused some confusion. Anyone that paid early will receive an updated statement, so we'll have those out shortly. We did send out a code red call, we put out a press release, and we posted notices on our social media pages, so we did everything we can do to try to spread the word. And we're working with residents and taxpayers now to get them straightened out. So again, I just wanted to apologize for that error. And now I'm gonna move into town bridges, my last update for this evening. I'm guessing most of you are here for that topic. Or as you recall, at our last meeting, I was asked to come back with an update on bridges townwide, not just the Brookside Bridge, you know, that was what we were discussing primarily at the last meeting. I have some basic information to share tonight, and Joe Abigail, our Public Works Superintendent, is also here to take on some of the technical questions if you have some. So we included in your packet and we posted on our website for this evening, again, a brief bridge asset management plan. For anyone that would like one. I hope everyone had an opportunity to take a look at it before tonight. Some of the information I'm going to share with you is already in this, just to provide a little background for folks at home and in the audience that haven't seen this yet. So infrastructure, as you know, but not everyone probably knows, infrastructure has been a board priority since I started here 5 years ago, and I'm sure it predated my time, but I know for certain that it was a board priority as of 2019. And that includes roads, bridges, buildings, and all of our underground utilities. It's listed as a high priority, and it's on our priority planning worksheet, which is also on our website. And we review that worksheet twice annually during our open working sessions. We typically hold priority planning sessions in June and January, but this year we're doing our June meeting in July. We just ran out of meeting nights, so we're gonna be meeting in July this year, and I'll share the date in just a minute. So as a result of it being a priority, some of our bridges have been repaired, some are in the capital budget for repairs. And all of them are listed on our asset management plan here in our packet, drafted by Ty and Bond. And again, I'll come back to that in a minute. We own 11 bridges townwide, and at least 3 more are owned by the state. So we have a lot of bridges for a small town. Most fall into the fair, satisfactory, or good category for overall ratings. And 2 of them are closed, Cottage Street and Brookside Bridge, as you know. Most of them are decades old, with the newest one being built in 2022, the temporary span over the Housatonic River on Division Street, and then our oldest one being 1934. And I want to just talk about repairs a little bit, since this is something we're going to be discussing every year during budget season and have been, and we'll be talking about during our capital planning sessions as well. We currently have, as far as repairs go, we currently have $800,000 in the fiscal 26, so next year's capital plan for the Division Street Bridge over the Williams River. So not the temporary span, this is the other bridge on Division Street that crosses the Williams River. Routine maintenance is already scheduled for, or will be scheduled soon, for the Pumpkin Hollow Bridge that was built in 1999. That's a wooden structure. And our plan for the last 4 years, as you all know, has been to move the temporary span on the Division Street over the Housatonic River to the Brookside Bridge location when we permanently replace the Division Street Bridge. Unfortunately, the Brookside Bridge was closed sooner than we expected, so that plan did not work out for us. The North Plain Road Bridge, just before the span going over the Williams River, so just before, if you're heading north, just before the intersection of Division and North Plain Road where the flashing light is that's undergoing abutment repairs now by Mass DOT. That is a state-owned bridge, it's not a town bridge, and so you don't see that in the asset management plan. The Red Bridge on State Road, now Red Bridge, formerly Brown Bridge, was also repaired and repainted a few years ago. And Mass DOT still has the Division Street Bridge, the Cottage Street Bridge, and, the state road bridge, sorry, the red bridge I was just referring to, all listed as being funded in fiscal 25, which just started a few days ago. That's probably optimistic, but as of last week, they're still all listed as being funded by the state in this fiscal year. Town staff, myself included, and Joe Averdale, we sat in on a Mass DOT team meeting for for the Brookside Road Bridge a few weeks back, and we've been sharing updates with the media and with residents in that area through a group email. Happy to add anyone that I'm missing to that email list. We only reached out to the people that either reached out to us or that shared their email in some way, shape, or form with us, so we had access to that. If you'd like to be included, just call my office, email my office, and we will add you to that list. And in fact, I can even send you the two updates I've already shared to get you up to speed if you haven't seen them already. Right now, we expect the bridge, and I'm talking specifically about the Brookside Road Bridge now. We expect that will take 4+ years to design, to permit, and to construct. The Division Street Bridge, the temporary span again, took about 3 years. And that was with funding in place, so we were a little ahead of the curve on that one. As it stands now, staff, and this again includes myself, is not recommending a temporary span for the Brookside Road Bridge for 2 main reasons. And this was something we covered during that team meeting with Mass DOT. But the first reason is that it means that if we did consider a temporary span, it means the financial burden will shift to the town. So GB taxpayers would be on the hook for that $2+ million that we would expect a temporary span to cost, similar to the Division Street Bridge. And if we did proceed and we put that temporary span in place, we would likely lose our emergency status and jeopardize the $3.4 million in state funding for that permanent replacement. So we'd be looking at $5.5 million of GB taxpayer money rather than state funding. And the timeline would, I'm speculating here, don't hold me to this, but the timeline would probably be similar to what we're looking at now, which is about 4 years based on our experience with the Division Street Bridge. And with tens of millions of dollars in capital needs coming our way, as we know from our conversations during budget season this year, and looking out ahead for the next 5 years, I just can't see recommending using our limited capital resources just to open the bridge maybe a few months earlier than we would be opening it now with the state funding. I know, so I'm very well aware that that's not the news people want to hear. I've been promising everyone that I've talked to in the Brookside Road neighborhood from the beginning that I wouldn't sugarcoat any of my updates. I'll be honest with you. And we'll share as much information as we have with you as we learn more. And I think we're doing just that. We'll continue to discuss all of these infrastructure needs and projects during our priority planning sessions. And the next workshop we have scheduled right now is July 30th at 6 o'clock. So I'll stop there, and if you have questions, we'll do our best.
Yeah, you just go to the microphone or raise your hand, newsletter, so we'll start with that. Eileen, go ahead.
Where on the website is the information about the reports? I looked on the website, I can't find it.
Look in our packet.
Well, I saw it in the packet. But is there anything else on the website?
No, I think it was just in the packet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Go right ahead to state your name and address.
Hi, Meredith Smythe, 53 Brookside Road. Just looking to gather some picture of the timeline, as I know that I'm under the impression that the bridge was inspected in 2016 and photographs were taken and showed similar damage or structural, lack of integrity, similar to 2024's pictures. And then in 2020, we were contacted at Eisner, by the former superintendent of DPW of Barrington to talk about the plan and giving us a heads up. And we were kind of excited because it was COVID pandemic, we were shut down, fine, right, understood, like kind of perfect timing, right, for that to happen, but then nothing ever came out of it. So just wondering if you can walk us back through the 2016 inspection and then like, how did we get, 8 years later and we're still looking at another 4 years?
So I wasn't involved in the conversation and the update from Sean, but my understanding was that the bridge is inspected every 2 years, is that correct?
16 and 22, 20. 15 to 22, I think, were the last two.
So we were aware that it needed repairs, but again, our plan, and this was under the assumption that Division Street Bridge was probably in worse condition than Brookside due to the amount of traffic it receives in comparison to Brookside. Our plan has been, even when Sean was here, to install that temporary span while we wait out full replacement. We knew that was in fiscal 25's budget with the state. And then again, move that span down to Brookside, but fortunately.
Okay, so you're saying that the conversation in 2020 was the same plan working
It was
for,
the same plan.
just, we weren't expecting 4 years for the plan system, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, and the 2016 report, if I wanted to see a copy of that, how would I go about requesting it?
Just email us. I'm sure, I don't know that, I'm sure we have a copy. I don't know that I have it, but I'm sure we have a copy here.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Brian?
I'm gonna unmute. I'm gonna take part of my 3 minutes to apologize for not being there in person. We were on our way going down Kellogg Road and intending to turn back around and come up Route 7, and there was a major accident on the intersection of Kellogg and Route 7. Route 7 was closed due to a person who had been trying to make the left turn onto Kellogg Road, and they were still they were waiting for emergency vehicles to come. So apologies for not being there. Let me understand then that you have $800,000 in the capital budget for Division Street. You are not giving us a temporary solution. There was another report in 2021, which I believe is 5 years after the one Meredith is talking about. And that particular report has the same conditions and recommended that our bridge be replaced or at least remediated as soon as possible. I think you've answered the question of why a one-lane bridge would hold up the process, but I reiterate that 4 years is really too long to wait. I am empathetic that you were surprised when the temporary bridge for Division Street and the idea of moving it over to us did not work out. But I think that we definitely are in an emergency status, and we need to get some sort of fix before another 4 years goes away. So thanks for trying to help, but I don't think we really are a high priority.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Leon's Roger, 87 Brush Hill Road, Barrington. I just want to get some more clarification. Now, last year, the state surveyed that bridge. They were in there. I'm hoping they now having they should be working on a plan during the winter to replace that bridge. Well, they spent about a month and a half there surveying that. And so what I'm hearing from you is that you're planning on that bridge to be done in 4 years. Is that correct?
Brookside,
Brookside.
they said 4 plus or minus years, right? I think
4
it's
plus
probably
minus
4 plus.
Right, this is also to deal with, Brush Hill Road. You're gonna be putting a new culvert in, I got that, I'm approval of that, it needs to be done. I'm just wondering when they're gonna start and what's the timeline to finish it?
For the culvert?
Yeah.
Jeff, do you know the answer to that?
Housatonic River Valley Association is. It's just being permitted. There's no construction funding in place anyway.
So they're not gonna start that this year?
Unless someone comes up with construction funding, there's no construction funding in the town budget.
Okay. Because that's gonna take, that's another 25 minutes. When they take that culvert out, it's 25 minutes for anybody in Brush Hill to make the circuit back to Great Barrington.
Older than that, there's a car in front of you.
So you're not gonna be doing that culvert this year then, because I got a notice that there was 27-foot culvert, box culvert. Right. That's for the brook, right below the power lines. So they're not planning on doing it this year?
So, that project, the culvert that he's talking about, Houstonic River Valley Association came to the town and said, we have some funding to engineer it. We'll, if we do the engineering, will the town, appropriate some future monies for construction? So, yeah, we'll take the free engineering. So that's underway. They had some issues with it. The consultant, the engineering is involved, and they're taking it over, and I think they're doing some more permitting. There is no timeline. That's the one that's gonna be done. And they're gonna search and seek out grant funding to do that work. That was all before the Selectboard. The survey the gentleman was referring to is tied to what Mark said. We were planning on doing the temporary bridge down there. The surveying and the bonds was done and paid for by the town, not the state. And our preparation for the template.
And that information has been shared with the state so that we can speed up the timeline to the extent possible, so that we don't have to repeat work we've already paid for and completed.
Okay, online is Pamela Helper.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you to the board for allowing me to speak. My name is Tamar Halper, and I'm here with my husband, Paul Zydock, and we've lived on Brush Hill Road for about 25 years in Great Barrington. My first question really pertains to the comment that was just made that the Brookside Bridge closed, I think I heard correctly, sooner than expected. According to the May 10th, 2024 letter from Mass DOT District 1, the highway director, the Brookside Bridge was closed after an inspection due to a finding, and I'm going to quote it now, of significant section loss to multiple floor beams and stringers. Now, I'm not an architect. However, that language is pretty clear as to what the problem was. And what's concerning to me is that I'm told that these particular problems, and I'm told by the Division 1 bridge inspection person responsible for that bridge, that the issues with the stringers and the beams go back as far as 2003, 2006, and the reports progressively get worse year after year. But the one that really concerns me is 3 years ago, and I think someone just mentioned the 2021 report, the town, Great Barrington, you guys, were sent a safety engineer report that unequivocally stated that these very same stringers, whatever they may be, and floor beams were, quote, seriously deteriorated and needed to be repaired, and this is the report language, as soon as possible. And then it goes on to say repair should be initiated by district maintenance engineer or the responsible party, if not a state-owned bridge, upon receipt of the inspection report. That's what it said in 2021. And I'm told that the report was given by the DOT to the town, and it was clearly up to the town to act on it. So my first question is, if the town is the responsible party, and I'm not sure what the answer is to that, for maintenance of the Brookside Bridge, if that's what you guys are, I would like to know what action was taken back in 2021 and over the last 3 years. And the second point comes from a conversation I had with Michael McCabe, who is the District 1 bridge inspection engineer, who told me that our bridge was to be inspected every 2 years. So after this 2021 report saying that we needed to act as soon as possible, we should have at the very least been inspected in 2023. It didn't happen, which is kind of shocking to me. You get a report that says it's got to be fixed as soon as possible, and you're supposed to have it re-inspected in 2 years, and we had to wait 3. just to get it re-inspected. So maybe not so shocking that in 2023 it gets closed. So my question there is, why didn't that happen? I understand that it was requested. It seems like that might have been the state dropping the ball, but here we have no repairs and no inspection. And so my third point is a very brief one, and that is I'm also told that there is a gentleman, the District 1 Bridge Engineer, Mark Devidler, Devyldler. I don't know whether any of you people have spoken with him, but I understand his job is as liaison between the town and the state, that his sole job is to help us figure out how to fund repairs, how to expedite repairs, to kind of do what you as a town did so well with getting us the traffic circle and the lighting when federal monies became available. And there are federal monies available now, and he's supposedly someone who can help us make that happen. So my third question is, has anyone spoken to him? And if not, can we, or why not? Thank you. I really appreciate your listening to my concerns. Thank you.
So, real quickly, I'll just respond to that, and Joe, feel free to chime in, but we do know Mark, we worked with Mark and will continue to. I think the short answer to your first two questions is that, we were aware that there were, issues with that bridge. Again, that was the purpose of us beginning the process to, survey and conduct boring samples down there so that we could move the temporary span from division to Brookside when we could. So that was the action we took at that time.
Actually, can I ask a question, Joe, just for some clarification? On the question of the rating system. There's a condition rating and a deficiency rating. And the previous speaker was just referring to the deficiency rating and the recommendations that come with an SA, right? A severe ASAP rating. I'm looking at the strings and the floor beams for the bridge were both rated severe ASAP, but the condition rating was 5. So is there kind of a disconnect? Because 5 is fair.
That is, I picked up on that myself when we put this evaluation that Mark spoke of. That Mass Highways overall rating of the bridge was fair or something like that. It wasn't mandatory taking immediate action. That they didn't report to see that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to tell you. It's a Mass Highway grading system. You know, it's like the end grade of the bridge was not to shut it down.
Right, the overall condition rating was a 6, a 5, and a 6.
Right.
Yeah, which is
2 years ago, when I came to work here, one of the bridge reports came from Mass Highway. And they said, okay, no, you're supposed to be available, so that's the other guy. And we worked the time by, and we put that together to see where we are with our grid assets. But surprisingly, we're not that bad compared to the whole storage across the state. They found that a very good plan to purchase that calculator that we started writing it. And moving up there, like going to the proactive, it just cost with this latest inspection. Something happened between the last inspection and now that changed somebody's mind. It could be a different inspection team, it could be a different opinion. We haven't seen the report from this latest, and we probably multiple months. I wish I had a better answer for you.
thanks.
I'm Lee Vance, 511 Cottage Street. Mark, when did we close that bridge on bottom of Cottage? Do you remember what year?
It was before my time, 2017, 18.
I think it was 18, because we said in 5 years, so this year it would be
How
replaced.
optimistic are we that the state will be building that bridge? I mean, honestly, I lived there all my life. I lived on that street. I don't ask for a lot in this town, and it's been a huge inconvenience. And I know people have had like a 2-month inconvenience they've had right now. They really don't know until they've lived there for this, as long as we have it.
It's on this year's list.
Yeah.
To be funded. Well, I swear to you that it's gonna be
And how will
done.
we know when it is? How will the town, will we be notified?
Well, we have seen work get started down there. We've seen surveying teams down there. That was last fall.
They were doing some boring down there, and I think the next step we'll see is when they get to 25 to 30% drawings, the state typically has a public hearing to get input and feedback and stuff like that. That'll move rather quickly from the 25% to 100% up a bit.
So, and when
We
we,
haven't seen that yet.
when we are notified of that public hearing, we will share it widely through the press release, through our social media accounts, any way we can get it out there.
So it's been a long time, so I have a hard time believing that 4 years we're talking about the other bridge is gonna happen. I'm sorry to say that.
Although when I started in 2019, we were talking 5 years at that point. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, go right up. Go right up to the microphone. Just state your name and address.
My name is Joan Davis. 11 years ago, I moved from State Road to just over the town line, 1862 Home Road. And what sold me on this, I'm not a public speaker.
That's okay.
What sold me on this house was the location. It's less than 2 miles from the Big Y and a little ways to the CVS. And I don't have to go to Main Street. I don't have to, worry about that. The Brookside Bridge has been there since the 1800s. It was washed out in 1948. A temporary one was put up right away, and in 1949, this one was put up. I assumed there'd always be a bridge. I looked at the bridge report from 2000, I thought it was 2017 in my computer, but I might be wrong. There were recommendations for some serious repairs that needed to be done. I will not go into what they are here. It stated then in that report that 1,449 cars use that bridge every day. What are these people going to do now? We have been given an alternative. For me, it's 10.5 miles one way for 4 years. So for comparison, I thought, okay, from Town Hall here to the Red Line Inn is a little more than 7 miles one way. And that's going on Route 7, which is a nice straight flat road. So I'm 10.5 miles. That's going the recommended way, which is to Maple, because East Sheffield Road is not so good. So this week I had a UPS driver come and he said, I said, well, thanks for coming up. He said, about the bridge. He said, wow, this must be hard on you. When are they going to start working on this bridge? I said, not for another 4 years. He staggered backwards. He said, how are all you going to come on these roads for this long? It's hard on your brakes, your suspension, your tires. I said, not to mention your nerves. You should try it in the dark, in the snow, when a bigger car is coming towards you. He was speechless and he's a professional driver. I grew up here. I learned to drive here. I went to Monument and took the driver's ed course. I was never taken out on these back roads. 3-point turns were taught on Everett Street. My grandfather was an electrician in town. He knew all these roads. When I got my license, his advice was don't take back roads. 3 branches fall down, you have to turn around, animals run across the road in front of you. These roads are hard on tires and suspensions. Get to the main road. Same advice I got from the UPS driver 50 years, and he gave me this advice 50 years ago. Too many cars on roads not designed for that many cars. So what are all those people that use this road? What are they doing now? I don't know, but that's a lot of cars that I have to find somewhere else to go. But thank you.
I'm sorry, what was your address
1862 Home Road.
in Barrington?
It's just, I think I'm a couple hundred feet over the line.
I was curious what town you live.
Anyone else?
Well, it shouldn't matter.
Well, no, I was in town at the Barrington meeting. I just thought I would ask the question.
Well, it
She
shouldn't-
is affected by this. I'm letting her speak.
What, I thought it.
Well, we should be safe wherever
I'm
we're.
not saying it shouldn't be, I'm just.
I
asking.
grew up.
Okay, let's continue the meeting. Go right ahead.
Anthony First Valley, 47, East Sheffield. Everybody's talking about Brookside, Brush Hill. The bridge, everything that's the old news story. The lady that called in on the online there talked about the accident. I happened to be stopped at the stoplight there when the accident happened right in front of me. I got out, talked to the old lady who was making the left turn. She said she was so confused, she wasn't sure where she was going. That's what she, so that's another reason this detour is dangerous. Okay,
Just to be clear, Kelly Road is not the recommended.
I know, but yes, so it's another 2.5 miles down and back.
Correct.
I live 7/10 of a mile to the big walk. Now it's 10 miles round trip for me. So am I gonna go all the way down to Maple Avenue and way back? Probably. So my next question, what about East Sheffield Road? If I come, I'm the first house, and you come down East Sheffield Road from the bridge on the right, so if I come out my driveway, make a right, it's down one lane because the road is collapsing into the river. If I go left, I'm going through the Baja, shaking the heck out of my car.
Yeah.
The first week the bridge was closed, I was coming down, coming home from work in the evening, tree branches hanging down from the trees,
And I just said.
hits my windshield. I now have a cracked windshield on my porch.
See?
And I called the town, I told them about the branch. I went out with some surveyor tape to go mark it so they could see it, and take care of it. It was already knocked down. But all I got from it when I called the town, I said, oh, that's sterile. Oh, yeah, it's sterile. And the conditions of the road, is there any plans of resurfacing that road? Joe, you want to answer that? We don't currently have any. We don't currently have any plans on the budget to do that. We did have to reduce it because there's some wash out very long. I don't have a budget to fix my windshield.
Yeah, right.
How about the gas money?
Yeah, how about that?
Okay, so if you're gonna speak, you have to come to my. That's just my. Thank you. Next.
Next.
Hi, I'm Amanda Serafini, and I live at 85 Brush Hill Road. So we've been listening to and reading the articles that have come our way via the media, and I'm happy we were able to attend tonight. When we purchased our home, it was a very conscious effort to live in Great Barrington because I have elderly parents that caretake a 105-year-old grandma, and I need to be able to get to them in a timely manner for emergencies because I'm the kid that lives here. So when we chose to purchase our home, I did not want to be in the woods. I did not want to live in a hill town because this was my main priority, which is why we chose our location at Brush Hill. I am now putting on my car 112 miles a week just to go up and around on the detour down to Maple Avenue and back up 7 before I get back to Brookside Road, before we even start like our sojourn to and from work and from our day. In the time that the bridge has been closed, my husband has lost a muffler on the trip. I have realized that I do not get cell service on a majority of my new way to get to my house taking Maple. I feel very isolated physically and psychologically because we have now canceled plans, or people have canceled plans but they don't want to make the trip. We are also taking a tremendous financial hit with gas and wear and tear on the car. We have also paid out a few $100 extra since the bridge has been closed for people that are coming to service our home, who are now charging a surf fee, like a additional cost because of what they are consuming for their gas and their mileage. We have also had to budget completely differently for our pet care because neither one of us can now get home to take care of our animal throughout the day. So now we are paying an extra expense to have someone come in or send it to play care. I am very surprised to learn that with all of the information that's been given to the town, the neglect that the bridges have, feel like they fell by the wayside. It kind of, I'm sure this is not your intention, and I'm sure you are doing what you can to help, but it really feels like, since it's like a not in my backyard situation, that it seems like it's put on the back burner for finances. For me personally and my household, we would not care if the permanent bridge took longer to facilitate, if there was a temporary option, just for these emergency situations, which is my huge concern, that it now takes me almost 30 minutes to get to my parents if needed, by having to go up and around. I do not feel safe not having cell service on these country roads that I did not choose when we purchased our house to have to take as my everyday commute. We are a quarter of a mile, not even up to the top of the street when the bridge is functioning. And I guess I feel like there was another point that I wanted to make, but I don't believe that the town of Great Barrington or the state is going to help us financially with our situation. But I just wanted to bring it to your attention that we know it's an inconvenience for everybody, but more than inconvenience, it's really for me a very big concern with safety, for God forbid, if I need to get somewhere or if someone needs to get across.
Okay. Nora? Nora, just unmute yourself. We'll go back to you. You can unmute yourself. Go right ahead.
Hello, my name is April Brown, I live at 96 Brush Hill Road. I just kind of wanted to share as well some of the hardships that I've been going through and will go through over the next 5 years, because it is much more than just an inconvenience. I'll try not to cry, but I'm literally due this Saturday, so my phone will get crazy. It's gonna happen. Sorry, guys. So about a month before the bridge was closed, I was diagnosed as borderline gestational diabetes. I got a gym membership at Berkshire South because I could make it there in less than 15 minutes while my daughter napped, so I could get the exercise I needed to be healthy for my pregnancy. But since the bridge closed, it now takes me over a half hour to get there, and I can no longer go. I now have full-blown gestational diabetes because there's nothing that I can do in my home that is safe for my body to do exercise-wise. So that's what sucks right now. Then, when my current daughter, who is 2, was about 13 to 14 months old, she was having a delay in her speech and in her walking. And I learned about these play groups at CHP that I could access less than 15 minutes away from my house. And the second we started going, her development like blossomed. She's doing amazing now. I can no longer access those groups because they are like round trip. It's more than an hour to go somewhere for an hour, and when you have a toddler, like that's just not possible to have them in the car for an hour to do something for an hour. So she no longer has access to that. And I specifically like purchased a home where I did so that I would have access to those resources, knowing I wanted to start a family. And my new child will not have access to that, I guess, for the next 4 to 5 years, which developmentally speaking is the most important years of their life. There was just a study on that said, like, if children are not ready by the time they go into kindergarten, basically their development through high school will, like, they can't improve if they don't meet that readiness standard at that age. So that's really stressful. Also, I was planning on returning to work once my daughter is going to Moneybrook next year. I'm a freelance consultant. It will add more than a half hour, or it will now take me an extra half hour every single day for the 5 days a week, which will cost me, actually, I did the math going like the way that you don't recommend, so even more than that, if I go the way that you do recommend. It will cost me $18,000 to $25,000 a year when I try to return to work. I can only work part-time when my daughter is in school, so there's no wiggle room there. So, you know, I get that people are saying like, oh yeah, it's inconvenient, it's a lot more than inconvenient for me. And, you know, when I was being shown my home, the realtor told me, like, you should buy in Sheffield or Egremont, the taxes are lower. And I actually love paying taxes. Like, I think that you should support the town you live in. I knew I wanted to benefit from the resources of Great Barrington, so I was happy to pay taxes here. But now the absolutely exorbitant taxes that I'm paying to not be able to benefit from some of the resources. You know, you guys saying, I get it, okay, it's gonna take 4 or 5 years, there's nothing you can do. So then I can't keep paying these taxes, like I'm losing so much money. What can you do to help us financially? Like, I did very, very ballpark math of what our road, the small group of people on our road would pay over the next 4 to 5 years. And it's over $500,000 in taxes, if it's just like a rough estimate based on like the homes that I know there. And I just,
it's just very overwhelming. And so to brush it off is like, sorry, I've been inconvenienced. It's like, what can you do for us though? Like, I hear that maybe the bridge isn't possible, but what can you do for us to make this a little easier? Can you move play groups? Like, can you actually just like think about how it's impacting the town and fix it in some way if it's not the bridge? I guess that's all I have to say.
Yes,
Hi, I'm Jess Krupski. I live actually like Brush Hill on Water Farm Road. We've been there for 49 years. And the inconvenience is amazing. I think that what everyone here is not paying attention to is we've got to move faster. Listen to these stories. I'm lucky to be retired. I go to town a lot less. My husband works for Great Barrington and he's doing a lot of extra miles and wear and tear on his vehicle. But the biggest thing is, I don't think anyone is really paying attention unless it hits you personally between the eyes. Ambulances, fire, I don't care if we're working with Sheffield. Getting to Fairview Hospital is going to be over half an hour as opposed to 7 minutes. That is huge. And it's ridiculous and it's inexcusable. And if there's anybody that any one of us or all of us can talk to get this moving, we've got to do it because it's like living in a third world country and it's just inexcusable. We have to do something. What's the timeline? And one of my big questions was, gone. Okay. What is your timeline and who is responsible for creating and tracking the benchmarks? Because 4 years is ridiculous. This is not a third world country. Somebody should be able to put together a committee or something. I know you're smirking, but we have to do something faster than this. It's inexcusable. All the people who are paying top dollar on the Great Barrington side, they can't even sell their house. Who's gonna buy it? That's right, that bridge. So they're screwed from every end. And this woman
I don't
just,
believe that.
what's that? Excuse me?
No,
I don't
no,
believe that.
no.
I'm sorry.
you keep quiet,
They
please, for the
clap,
meeting.
they clap.
No, I'm asking you
I
to
can
keep
say
quiet.
something.
We're listening to these people. They have real
Thank
concerns.
This last woman who spoke, if she goes into some sort of fetal emergency, how fast can she get to Fairview? It's ridiculous that people should live that way in this country, in this state, and in this town. So, thank you.
Right.
My name's David, 85 Rush Hill Road. I also too want to go over some of these timelines, and we kind of would like to discuss what actually takes 4 years, because, you know, I work in, you know, the technical space, and, you know, once you kind of develop a product, it's long past time that we, you know, resell that product as if we started from scratch, right? Like these bridges are already like pre-approved. You know, we've been designing bridges for well over 100 years. You know, we know what designs, if it's a trestle bridge, if it's gonna be a suspension bridge, all of these designs are pre-approved. So it's not like we're starting from scratch each and every project. Would you agree with that? And, you know, the more I'm reading on this is the Division Street span length is exactly the same, ironically, as our bridge here at Brookside. So all of this, it seems like all of this budgetary comes into the design and the engineering, but all that is really already done. So I don't understand why we can't repackage that when we already purchased in the past to kind of go over and say, hey, we can use that exact same bridge, that exact same design that's already been approved for years and years and years now. So that's kind of what I need a little clarification on, like, why does everything have to take, what takes 4 years? And I understand it's government and everything takes at least twice to 3 times longer than it should baseline. But like all these other people, 4 years is either it's pulled out of the thin air, or like what constitutes for that time? Because the Cottage Street Bridge still hasn't been repaired either. You know, and I'd argue that's kind of a lesser used bridge, but that's not for the, right, I
Joe,
got you.
Joe, do you want to comment on any of that?
So Mass DOT as well as how it's prepackaged, like you suggested. And some surface conditions are different, things of that nature. There's a huge permitting undertaking to be done down there, which is probably a couple of years between, you know, the wetlands and the floodplains and endangered species and stuff like that. So I'm sure the company that Mass Highway hired has multiple arms that are doing different things at different times. So although the span is similar, it doesn't mean it's controlled or somewhere. So that would all have to be investigated. One thing is that we got a little bit of jump start. We started doing some surveying and borings that maybe help with the overall timing a little bit.
Hi, Andrew Miano, 109 Threshold Road. I wanted to actually say we're going to ask more about permitting. From what I'm understanding is that in 2016, it was already planned to move the temporary bridge to the Brush Hill area. And at that point, you know, I do know these permits take 3-4 years to get done, but the plan back then was to move that bridge. Why the permitting process wasn't started at that point for that bridge. And then also specifically what permit you're looking at. Are you looking at like the self-verification to try to speed this up? Or is this going to be a more complicated bridge? And some of those questions should probably be known just based on if there was already a temporary bridge that was expected to go there. That's pretty soon.
The plan I was referring to, moving the bridge, was not discussed in 2016. That was discussed around 2020 when we were planning the temporary span for Division Street. That's when that conversation started, not 16. I know there's some references to 2016 related to a bridge report, but we didn't start having that conversation about buying the span for Division Street and reusing it until around 2020.
But there's been no permitting at all since 2020.
But no, we started the process of doing the borings and the surveys. That's what we started. That's what we needed to get. I believe that's what we need to get the permitting process underway.
The permitting for the temporary bridge would be slightly in arguing there. Because if you envision Division Street, we built off the top of those apartments. So we did everything we want. So that would be the same intention down here, if we ever went to it, if we never got to that point, the design, the developers would support the temporary bridge because the bridge is important. So the permitting from 2020 going forward was largely small.
Okay, so none of the like wetland have been flagged or anything like that for the temporary bridge or anything like that.
The big one of the biggest houses we have down there is the electric utility that is which I have
So Joe, you're saying that all of this was kind of happening with the abutments and you're getting inspection until the bridge was closed. Once the bridge was closed, now all that stopped. Right. That's what I thought. Thank you.
Merle, just unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Merle Duskin-Kalis, and I've lived on Brush Hill Road so long that it wasn't even paved when we bought our house. I have two questions. The first one was, Mark, and thank you again for listening to us and participate in this process. Mark in his report mentioned that the Mass DOT has funds already allocated by the state for the Division Street Bridge, the Cottage Bridge, and I believe it was the Red Bridge, although he was speaking so fast I couldn't write it, and that they were all listed for 2025. But where are those amounts reflected in the town budget? Because the amount in the town budget that was approved for 2025 was, I believe, $50,000. So my question is, where on the budget are the funds coming from the state for those three bridges?
That would be the state, that's Mass DOT's budget, not the town budget. You
Okay,
won't
but
find
it
any.
shouldn't be an asset on our balance sheet. It shouldn't be reflected that those are monies we intend to spend.
Yeah, we actually don't spend the money, the state spends the money.
The state spends the money. So when you put the $50,000 for 2025, it's really 50,000 plus whatever the state is according. paying
He
for?
lost
Yeah,
$50,000.
could you just review what the 50,000 is?
Please, there's 50,000 in there for bridge engineering.
Oh, okay, so that's simply for bridge engineering.
Okay, so
That's for-
how would we find out the amount of money that the Mass DOT has allocated for those 3 bridges?
On the state website, it might have a estimated project value for a while since I've been on there.
We can look into that. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry. I'm not prepared to answer that tonight.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I also wanted to get some idea of, there have been a lot of questions posed this evening. Looking at timeline, looking at process, looking at budgetary, looking at permitting process. I was wondering how and when can we expect each of these issues to be addressed?
We will continue to update you as we get information, as we find information. So
Okay.
I would say the best way is between Mark's emails to the residents and at our meetings.
Okay, I'm gonna try his best to follow up this call with an email listing every point that everybody made. That might make it easier for you guys to track and get back to us.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve Braddock, 57 East Sheffield Road. A couple of questions. Earlier you said Brookside Bridge is a state bridge, right? Not a town bridge.
Yeah.
No, it's a town bridge.
Sit down.
Okay, so so we're not waiting on state to fix the bridge.
You only get to speak once, so. Yeah.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
I did not know.
Thank you.
Is that correct?
It's a town bridge that the state will pay for and will do the construction on.
Okay, I was misled. I thought that I heard that it was gonna be state bridge and the town couldn't do anything. But the town could do whatever they wanted to, if they want, correct?
Yeah, we still have to comply with.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, that's a yes, no. I mean, yes, we could opt to fix the bridge in less than 4+ years, and we really want.
And I covered that in my update. I said we could put in a temporary span and we could fund full replacement. I don't think it would save us much time, and it would be entirely on the taxpayers in Great Barrington.
Right, oh, yeah, there's a cost, I mean, it's cost, everything, yes, yeah, and somebody has to foot the bill.
But I think the point there, and I'm not gonna interrupt you, I don't need to, is that what the town manager was saying is the savings in time is in months, not years. So is,
I respectfully disagree, because I have a hard time believing that if this was really, really, really important, it would still take us 4 years to build a bridge, we could build it in no time flat. My opinion, that's all, okay, thank you for that. The second thing I have is we referenced someone, Mark, and his liaison or something, and they were helping us with funding, is that correct? Or, and it was said that, yeah, we know him and we're working with him. What does that mean? I mean, how often, we call this guy every day?
No, we were working closely with Mark during the Division Street Bridge. Mark was up this, yeah, I called it.
He was, but I don't think his role was necessarily, he's the district one bridge engineer who oversees the bridge program. I don't believe, he may have a recommendation on funding, but he doesn't really fuck it with the town. So we got funding, right? That's one piece. One piece, and the whole permit and everything. What?
He stated he stopped.
Yeah, I know, but someone said it takes a couple of years to check out the weather and jump on. I'll write that off and just go with the office. The other thing that I need, maybe I can soften is when, if and when the town takes on a engineer a bridge, outside of the state, like we did the culvert up on Christianville. The town will do all their engineering with consultants and everything like that. Then it hits a pause. It has to go from the chapter 85 review to the state. Anything over 20 feet. So the engineering process, permitting process, and the review process when the town does it is longer than when the state does.
That's for out of state, right?
No, it's in town. So, and just to clarify, the reason why it was stopped, it doesn't make any sense to proceed at that point in time because the time when the Vision Street Bridge is to be available for us to put down there is a couple of years away. Okay, by that time, the things would be engineered and you'd be putting a bridge in for a very short period of time. So it didn't make sense, like, I know you grabbed that item and wanted to run with it, but there's more to it than that.
I do think we go walk and chew gum at the same time, though. Why can't we continue permitting knowing that the bridge is closed?
So this gentleman has a microphone, so go ahead.
I'll wait.
I'd rather not. We have a meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that we covered the emergency aspect of it, and that's a disaster waiting to happen. I think we, from my opinion, covered the inconvenience part. We understand that's.
It's a safety thing.
It is.
Forget about the inconvenience. It seems like, it just feels like you guys are waiting for something horrible to happen until action is taken.
So,
When it's,
let us keep going.
I just feel like it's pushing it off.
The next question is, what, not you, the town of Great Barrington. What is the town of Great Barrington doing to help the situation? I mean, someone mentioned the part of the road that's collapsing. Are there plans in place? Okay, I guess I could understand that there's no money available right now, but I mean, are we gonna do something about that where the road is collapsing prior to the 4 years, or when the bridge is ready to be opened, are we gonna say, oh geez, we still gotta do something with that road?
Yeah.
For example, that's number one. I believe that the southernmost part of the Sheffield Road, it is a disaster, and I would think at a minimum that we could have it repaved. Okay, now one could argue that being in the condition it's in, it's a good thing because it forces people to slow down, okay, before, a head-on collision takes place. But I think that would help a tremendous amount, as well as because of the way the road is, there's a lot of blind spots on it, and I think the town could cut some trees that are right blocking where you're going around. There's some little things that don't cost, we don't have to budget items that can be done that would make it a little bearable, more bearable. I mean, I could stand here and also say how inconvenient it is and blah, 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 and all of it's true, and I applaud all of it. Lee, I feel for you on Cottage Street.
Yeah, I know you forever. I know.
I think, the options with that are a little different, but hey,
No, that-
all of us are
that's
gonna
the
stand here and say, our personal interest. So, thank you for, and the last point, I think it should be recognized by the town, again, the town, not personal here, that there would be no Brush Hill or anything up there if that bridge was never there. No way in hell. Wouldn't be a home up there because of what it takes to get to town. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna move on, but there will be updates.
I had a comment, actually.
Go ahead.
Can I just say one more thing? I think-
You can always speak one.
This is ridiculous.
I'm sorry, that's our rule.
Yeah, I was
Can I
just,
see a list of those rules emailed to me, or can I figure out what they are? Because I've never been to a town meeting. I'm sorry I lived here all my life, but I'd like to know. I don't want to answer.
Yeah.
so, I don't know how much, help this is, but during the meeting, as you were talking, and I thank you for all your comments. If you're looking for information, and, some of you might know this, there's, on MassDOT's website, there's a National Bridge Inventory. And I was, looking at the map, and I was able to find out the project, the name of the project manager, that is assigned to our bridge, to this bridge. And it actually says how much the total contract cost is, the estimated of the bridge, which I'll just mention right now. because someone asked us how much that was. And this is, again, it's on the mass.state MAUS website. So I looked up National Bridge Inventory. So it says Great Barrington Bridge replacement, Brookside Road over Housatonic River. The project manager is, I can't pronounce his name, DONGKE is the first name, is YU is the second name. The estimated total contract cost is $3,375,000. The estimated total federal participating construction cost is $3,625,000. It's in District 1. It says the current status, this project is in the preliminary design phase. So I bring that up because there's a way to email this project manager, and seeing that we have a kind of a dollar sign to this, and we know it's around the $3.5 million mark, and that there is a way for the public to go on the National Bridge Inventory and actually look at their different bridges and find information. It might give you some insight to follow this up with the state and you know.
What's the email information?
Well, it doesn't give you the email. You have to go on to the actual site and it says send the email. So it doesn't for the.
And there's like a form, an online form.
Yeah, there's a form. So it basically says, it says the project number, which I'll give you the project number. 613481.
613481.
Yeah, and the project manager name is DONGKE is the first name, is YU is the second name.
Okay.
And by going to this, where I am right now, I can see the estimated contract costs and the fact that that's the federal participating construction cost, which I guess leads me to believe that they're gonna pay for the whole thing, is $3.625 million. And it's in the preliminary design phase. It's,
The state or Fed.
well, it says estimated total federal participating construction costs. So I guess it comes through the feds, the state, obviously, but it comes through the feds.
Go right ahead.
My name is Susan Hassan. I live at 1930 Home Road, 4 houses into Sheffield. I just wanted to ask realistically, and you answered a little bit with what you just presented, what can we do to help expedite the building of the bridge? Like, can you give us concrete suggestions as citizens what we can do? And I think that was helpful.
Yeah.
But if there are other things that we can do, I'd like to know what they are.
We'll do that.
Because there are a lot of people that would volunteer to do the work, to do whatever you suggest.
We'll do that in our update.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to move ahead. And there will be further updates.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Application for a common victualler license, Los Lopez, off of 454 Main Street at the GB dispensary, Friday through Sunday, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Is someone here? Please come up and introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mario Lopez. I just purchased a taco truck, which I applied for a permit, a temporary permit, to the town hall and the Board of Health here in Barrington. I started running it about a month ago on the weekend. As stated, it's just temporary, but I was recommended by the town manager to apply for a common date. If anything else, was like more on a regular basis type of thing, which is I think I actually talked to the town manager and that lady, I think is her name, remember the last name. And she recommended that I cancel the meeting and I'm explaining my permit requests and which is what I'm here for, which is what I'm doing. The business is based here in Barrington. I moved here back in 2017. Me and Brian Lowe in a restaurant back then got closed down for different reasons, but when I can do other stuff, and I want to go back into food which is what I'm doing, right now. Still have like a regular 5 to 7 5. So it's 9 to 5 job, weekdays. So basically what I'm just requesting is just a accommodate, which is the last department of the business. I've tried the tacos, but I've been around, for a couple weeks now. So yeah, that's,
Let's start with a motion.
guys.
I make a motion to approve the common victual license for Los Lobes Taco Truck at 554 Main Street, Great Barrington, Friday through Sunday, 9 to 7 p.m.
You have a second.
Second.
Lee, you have a question?
So welcome.
Thanks so much.
So I did notice the taco truck. I wasn't able to have a taco myself, but one concern I did have was that it was seemed to be very close to the roundabout. And I was pulling, on the way, let's say, at the roundabout. And, it was great because there are kids on the grass. But my concern was it was almost so close to the driveway and so close to the roundabout that I could see kind of cars slowing down and taking a look as they're going roundabout. So my hope would be that, the positioning wouldn't be so close that people are actually distracted and looking at this taco truck right there. And the fact that there are kids right next to it. So, do you want to speak to that?
Actually, I did notice that a couple times when I was looking out the window. I seen people looking back or looking to the other side, not paying attention what they're doing on the road. I did notice that. One thing I gotta note is that the lady, the owner, manager, she is of the dispensary, was the only one that gave me an opportunity for a shot with my truck there. I went around to several places for business. That one actually said yes, part of my property. So I took that as an opportunity. I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know if it was gonna be a good thing or bad thing. It has given me good, the last, for the time that been open, it's been good, as a business. I didn't notice that. Like I said, I've been here for 7 years. I have two daughters that are born here. I have an older daughter that she was born here, but, they go to school here. I'm like, I don't plan to be a local, but my kids are, and this is a good town to live in. There's a lot of opportunities, and I just want to do everything the right way. So, like I told the lady, and I told the people that I talked to when I was asking for permits and stuff, if there's anything that I shouldn't do, that tell me. I don't know. I did, like you said, going back to that, I didn't notice that actually. Sunday over there, I didn't notice that, and people look back either way, whichever way they're coming, they're looking. I know it's bright truck, it's big thing. They see a lot. Sometimes you see a lot of people there. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't my first option. It wasn't my only option at the time. I got another spot already. Talked to this owner, which is on the Stockbridge Road. Like he sent the email all the others to the lady at the Board of Health. So it's not something that where I'm going to be as a like everyday thing. I do have an event. I do have events. I move around. I do want to find something more convenient for everyone. I know that's a great spot for people to see me, but it's not a great spot to be all the time because, like you said, the traffic. It's where everyone meets, coming from New York, going to New York, coming from
So would there be a chance that next time you set up, if you set up, that it's not so close to the sidewalk and that it's not just a distraction? And I don't know if this is something you talked to the owner about, but if it could be set aside, because there's quite a lot of landscaping and land there. So if you weren't right there, it wouldn't be distracting. I worry that there's going to be an accident.
Yes.
I certainly looked at it.
Yeah,
And that would be my request. And part of this,
definitely.
if we were gonna head is not to be right on the sidewalk and, they've got all this land in the back. So,
Yes.
not to put you in the back of it, but.
Yes, of course, I
Like
understand.
10, 15 feet up. from the road
Yeah,
or something.
yeah.
I don't know what the hill is. I don't know how, there's a hill there, but if you could just go as far back as you could. that'd be
Right, I
great.
mean, right up on the top there.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if there's someone that can
to
go
cite
over
you.
it and, I mean, tell me where is the best.
I mean,
No, I think what Lee is saying is use your judgment and find a spot that's a
Okay.
little safer than that. Because it's not totally your fault, people get distracted
Yeah.
easily. And, you know, we don't want an accident.
Yeah.
Where you are on Stockbridge Road is a nice level place,
That is, yeah.
but, you know.
Yes, of course.
I
mean,
think that's all she's asking for.
Yeah, yeah. of
Well,
course,
there's a big parking lot, maybe you just move it up to the back.
Out to the
I
back.
have a question, I don't particularly know always how these common bricks work. Is this something that's gonna be permanent, is it a summer thing, just all
Not at the
year?
place, not at the place, it's not gonna be permanent. I mean, I talked to the lady and we're good for the season to park there. As of her, but like I said, I'm not gonna be there every Saturday and Sunday. I'm mostly doing Sundays right now, because I have events on Saturdays now. It's good, I'm new around, but yeah, it's not gonna be, like you say, a place where I'm gonna be every weekend. And it's probably for just this season. Hopefully, I'm trying to find a place not there around town, somewhere else, like a safer place with more room for more people and all that stuff. And that could be more of a.
What I'm actually not sure of, I don't know how long a common brick.
It's
like
renewed
this
every year.
I think it's
Thank you, so
renewed.
we'll renew it every year. And I have had one of your tacos, they're good.
Yeah, but if you're moving, when you get a more permanent location, you'll just have to get an updated common vic, because this is specific
For
to.
that place,
For
yeah,
that place.
yeah, the lady at the town manager
Yeah.
told me that.
Lee, go ahead.
and I do have to admit that I have had not you, questions about food trucks
Yeah.
and the effect on brick and mortar restaurants
Mhm.
that are paying quite a bit to get, where they are.
Yeah.
So it's been a question that has been raised, not in relation to this
Yeah. of course,
particular,
I know.
permit, but it might be something that as a board we want to discuss, because we seem to get more taco trucks and
Mhm.
coffee trucks and various things, and there will be some kind of pressure eventually, I think, on, brick and mortar shops. And I'm assuming that the trucks are paying taxes and meal taxes and going through all that, Mark?
Yes.
Real thanks.
Meal tax on it. Yeah, okay. So that just might be a thing, as we start seeing more of them
Yeah.
and.
I'm all for free enterprise, I don't have a problem with that, everyone's gonna
Yeah.
make their money anyway.
Yeah.
And I think it's fine to allow, other businesses in town, especially if they will, there be you can kind of say it's a minority owned business.
Oh, yeah,
And
I'm all for
I
it,
can
just
dig that.
raising that.
Yeah, no, and I
Raising
know
the
that. I mean,
question and.
I understand that people with business owner with a brick and mortar location. Like with a history of, being here for a longer time, they might have an issue with it, but like I said, it's not, I mean, it's a healthy.
I think there's enough money to go around in town, especially in the summertime.
So-
Crowd.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I guess, I think Lee's idea, I mean, just having some general guidelines, is probably a good discussion to have. I'm all for, moving this motion along. I think, do we wanna put like a 10-15 foot setback or anything written?
Not
into
without
it,
getting
or-
it, only because we don't have, we'd have to look at the grade, I don't wanna tell him he's gonna be 15 foot and find out he can't put his truck there.
Oh, my God,
Yeah.
I guess we just ask that you do set it back,
Exactly.
not in the same position. I hadn't actually seen it, but I'm sure it was, and that rotary is.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are actually renewed on a calendar year anyway, so
Yeah.
you'll see them again in a few months.
Sounds good.
So I have a motion,
Right.
second, all in favor,
Aye.
it's unanimous, good luck to you.
Thanks.
Where are you on Stockbridge Road? I don't know.
Right
It's
next to the
right next
marketplace.
Goodwill,
Oh, okay,
building, yeah,
Okay,
there's
thank you.
land there.
thank you.
Okay, next is an application.
So much,
Thank you very much, good luck to you.
thanks.
Application for common vic license, Berkshire Mountain Bakery, 367 Park Street, Housatonic, Monday through Saturday, 8 AM to 7 PM, Sundays, 8:30 AM to 6:30 PM. Anyone here for that? Mark, do you just want to give background?
Sure, this is just housekeeping in my office. We've been comparing lists with
food establishments licensed by the health department, and this was one that was not on our list for a common vic. And since the permit is for food for immediate consumption, as we all know, the bakery has evolved over the years and is selling food for immediate consumption now. We did reach out to them and ask them to complete this application, so.
So you reach out to
We
them.
reached out to the Berkshire Mountain Bakery and asked them to complete this application so that this board could review it for approval.
Do you have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the application for a common vic license to Berkshire Mountain Bakery Incorporated on 367 Park Street in Housatonic, Monday through Saturday, 8 AM to 7 PM, and Sundays from 8:30 AM to 6:30 PM.
Second. Discussion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna really hold it back, but I like to see people show up. I don't know, I'm taking things for granted now. You've been established, I realize that, but let's not take everything for granted and think you don't have to show up at these events. That's my feeling.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed or abstention?
No.
No, all in favor, so unanimous. New business, review and update. And approve the updated policy for public records request. The only stuff that we have was. No, it's not in red. Wherever it says, oh, at the bottom of the form. When it says 10th day to respond, it's gonna say 10th business day to respond, just so it's clear. Anyone have any questions or comments on this? Mark, do you wanna just give a little history?
Sure. So I'm gonna point to the packet posted on our website again. There is a request form and a new policy posted in that packet. This is a topic that staff has been discussing for internal here for quite a while now at department head meetings. We're currently responding to about 125 to 200 public records requests a year. And that number is very much on the low side because that only counts the long form requests that we get each year. It doesn't include, meaning that anyone that reaches out to us and says, you know, hey, Mark, can I get a copy of this report? Or can I get a copy of this email? Or can you direct me to this? We don't ask them to fill out long forms for that. In fact, we don't, if it's a simple request, we try to give them a quick and simple response. We've been operating without a formal policy in place for as long as I can remember. I started working for the town in a different capacity, of course, back in 2005. But we've never really had a policy in place, so this would be our first. But generally, we've been giving about 2 hours of our time at no charge. Run into a problem is that often these requests are blanket requests, meaning they'll say something like, I would like the town emails for all town officials between this period and this period. So that request ends up going out to multiple departments. So we sometimes have multiple departments giving 2 hours each to this request. So it's costing, as you can imagine, it's costing the town a significant amount of money through hours. So I want to give you a couple of examples just so you can have a better understanding for what we are processing here. One recent request, and I'm not going to name names on any of these, but one recent request was from a reporter in the state of Maine seeking over 4 years of emails from all town officials about a resident in Alford. Had absolutely nothing to do with Great Barrington, but we did sift through our emails, multiple departments, and we provided what we had. Another public records request that we received had 15 requests, all packaged into one request. So sometimes they can be incredibly time consuming just because of the nature of the questions included. Many of the requests span multiple years, like I just said, and I want to just give you another example. One request we received a few months ago was from an attorney requesting documents back to 1950. So finding documents back to 1950 is a heavy lift, and it takes a lot of time sifting through dusty boxes in the basement sometimes, or old minute books and things like that. We do our best, we always do, but it is, again, incredibly time consuming. So in an effort to put some controls on the public records requests that we get, And to reduce waste, we're proposing this new policy that allows us to provide 30 minutes of staff time total, at no charge. Anything beyond 30 minutes would be quoted, so we give them an estimate and allow them to decide whether they wanted to pursue it or not in accordance with the Mass Public Records law. And the last thing I wanted to just say on this topic, I know it's been a long meeting, but the last thing I wanted to say is that towns under 20,000 residents are permitted to charge a fee for any time spent on public records requests. And we've been fulfilling these requests for a long time without any cost at all. So I think, and staff agrees, like I said, we've talked about this for quite a while now. This is a fair compromise, and I hope it will eliminate some of the requests that we're getting that aren't related to Great Barrington, or maybe it will just narrow the focus of the request so we can really focus on what they actually want. This is not intended to prevent anyone from having access to the information that we have. We're always happy to share the information we have. And we're always happy to share it in accordance with the law, but we do get some pretty ridiculous requests, and I'm hoping that this will help control that.
Good question.
Just come up with our.
Claudia Shapiro for the record.
They can't hear you.
Lane Road.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna be charging after the initial 30 minutes?
So the public records law states that we're capped at charging the hourly rate for the lowest paid employee on staff that can fulfill the request. So
And
that
that is?
will change every request. But we will always give a quote. We're never gonna go ahead and proceed with the public
I
records
understand that
request
part.
unless-
So if someone, has a request and it takes an extra hour, what is that person gonna be looking at?
It depends on, again, the staff number, but I would say probably, it's capped at $25 too, so I would say somewhere between $18 and $25.
So it's $25 an hour?
That's the
Is that what you're
max.
saying?
That's a max. Oh, yeah. Go ahead, motion.
I make a motion to accept the new terms as presented for the policy on public record requests.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, Mark, for that work. Thank you. Rest of River minutes request from select board member Davis.
Okay, so I just wanted to provide a little bit of background to anyone that's joining us for the first time or wasn't in attendance for the last meeting. I did receive a request from Lee, select board member Lee Davis, on the 24th of June, asking me to meet with staff and our attorney and come back with a recommendation on releasing the rest of River minutes. So staff is looking into this now, and we'll consult with our attorney, but it will take some time. We'd be asking our attorney or special counsel if that's the case. And we'll talk about that later, but to review about 10 years worth of minutes and redact information required for protecting the town's interests. There's also a confidentiality agreement in place with all the parties, which I know many people are aware of, but I wanted to just reiterate that tonight for anyone that wasn't aware. I believe there's somewhere between 10 and 15 parties to this agreement. So my suggestion would be tonight that if you consider a motion, that it should include waiting until all parties to that agreement are in agreement that we should proceed with reviewing and releasing the minutes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that pleases the board. Thank you, Mark. Whereas transparency builds trust and fosters civic engagement, allowing residents to feel informed and involved in matters that impact their lives and the future of their towns. I move that the Great Barrington Select Board approve the release of the Housatonic Rest of the River Municipal Committee Executive Session minutes as follows. 1, executive session minutes that foreshadow the 2020 final settlement, including the mediation process and its minutes from February 23rd, 2018 through February 5th, 2020. 2, executive session minutes compiled during the mediation agreement. It is understood that the release of the minutes is contingent upon securing approval from all involved parties and ensuring that any content protected under attorney-client privilege is properly redacted. Lee Davis, Vice Chair, Great Barrington Select Board.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Discussion.
so this, obviously long process to get there, but when this does and everybody lines up, it will just be rediscussed, or is this already determining?
Well, we're approving it.
Yeah.
And you said when, I would use the word yes,
Yeah. Oh,
because I think there are a number of parties in here that may never, I'm not privy to anything.
yeah.
Approve the release of this, so.
No, that was kind of my question,
Yeah.
just to, can we get for the record, just what the process was? So we say, we give our vote to say yes, but then what would have to happen for those to eventually be released?
I think this work has to be completed at some point anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of how high on the priority list is this for you? What I would ask this board to do is when we get to that point where, assuming you approve the motion tonight, when we get to that point where all parties have agreed, I'll probably come back to you and ask you to appoint. My recommendation would likely be appoint special counsel. And I say that because if we use our general counsel attorney for this purpose, that means all other town legal business is probably gonna come to a grinding halt. So I probably suggest that we hire outside counsel that can focus on this project and can report back to the board with their findings, the redacted minutes.
And as far as funding is, I don't know, talk to Mark, there's only two ways to fund this. If it happens to be during the budget time that this starts to go through, Mark would put it in the budget, that would be fine. The only other way, well, there's two other ways, but barring a special town meeting, the only other way is to go to the finance committee and get a transfer, and it has to be considered an emergency, so I'm not sure how that would.
For reserve
Reserve transfer, so, there's timing's gonna be an issue on this too.
Yeah, and it is part of a process. So there's a process, but I think it's important to show that we're unified around all the towns. Two other towns have stepped forward, so Stockbridge, actually three, Stockbridge, Lennox, Stockbridge, Lee, and Sheffield have already agreed. And, if the tables were turned, I would hope that the other towns would have our back. So I think it's important to show unity and to make this important step, so.
This was actually, well, just speaking for myself, this was before my time. So I'm not really aware of it at all. I would not be ready to make any decisions certainly now. I'd have to be much more informed before I should get a decision.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Or abstention? I've heard your silence is gonna kill me.
No, I said,
Are you opposed?
no.
You voted for it?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't hear you. Sorry, I'm old and it's getting late.
I'm old, I don't want to hear it.
Thank you.
It's approved unanimously.
But that was just very clear, that's just. But it
It's just
has
the first
nothing
step,
to
yeah,
do.
yeah, nothing's.
Town manager contract extension, in your packet is an extension of 3 years from next year, from our contract
Actually,
this year.
well, it was next year when we started discussing it, but it's this year now. It starts July 1st.
I wonder if we're gonna have it at Costello.
It's I understand. It started last week.
Right, okay, I understand. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second,
There are very few changes in here. There's a 1.4% base increase and a 3% increase as every town employee, almost every town employee has gotten. And there's 5 extra vacation days. Otherwise, the contract mirrors other contracts that Mark has, the other contract Mark has signed. All in favor?
aye,
And it's unanimous. Good, mother. I'm excited about that. Citizens speak time. I thought you were gonna speak, you're a citizen. Okay. Deborah Herman, go right ahead.
Hi, I apologize if this has come up earlier and that I just tuned into the meeting. But I would like to know whether the select board is aware of the fact that many people in Housatonic are now experiencing various shades of brown water. I've been told on Facebook by Ellen Lahr that the town is well aware of the problem But I was told by Rebecca from the health department that the health department has not received any complaints. I'm very confused about what the town is actually planning to do finally about this problem that seems to never go away. And my second question, which I've sent in an email, so you can answer it there, but I want to make it public, is I'm very confused about Ellen Lahr's role in doing public relations for the town. When she posts on Facebook, she seems to claim special knowledge. So is she speaking as a PR representative for the town? If so, it's not really clear. There's no title next to her name. When I asked people to write to the Board of Health and show them their brown water, she said the town already knows. Why is she discouraging people from letting the Board of Health know of their issues when Rebecca specifically told me today that the Board of Health is not aware? So I'm very upset about Ellen's role, and I think the town needs to clarify it. Thank you.
So let me, Deborah, just while you're still on, let me just say this. The best way to let the town know about this, and I do disagree with Ellen about this, the best way is for people who are affected to contact the Board of Health. The Board of Health is the agency that has the power to help us with this. So
I have asked them to do that. Sorry to
okay,
interrupt.
so absolutely, positively, and I realize you're not a representative to notify, but I will say that people who listen to our meetings or the press out there is that if you are having problems with your water, please notify the Board of Health. One of the things we talked about at a joint meeting, and this, because Housatonic water is on the agenda, I'll at least go this far, is that the Board of Health does have some jurisdiction over this, if you remember that joint meeting we
Yes.
had.
Yes.
So definitely, I encourage people to contact the Board of Health.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have to say.
Thank you. Michelle, go right ahead.
Michelle LeBaire, 70 Division Street. I'm here to talk about the railroad dumping on Van Duzenville Road again, because we're talking about PCBs, we're talking about health, we're talking about safety. As was stated just now, we're dealing with dirty water again, which is also toxic. But I just wanted to bring to your attention that the town of Stockbridge, the Conservation Commission, was concerned about railroad ties in that community. And as a matter of fact, I've read the minutes of their conservation. Well, I actually have to do a public records request to the town of Stockbridge for some minutes. But at their June 27, 2023 meeting, July 11th, July 25th, August 22nd, and coincidentally, September 12th, 2023, and then it kind of went silent. About the same time the dumping occurred in Van Duzenville. So, Mr. President had said that he reached out, I think, to Mass DOT or Housatonic Railroad, and that it was going to be cleaned up. It's still there. During, there was an article regarding the Conservation Commission meetings in Stockbridge, where it was stated creosote, which are the railroad ties, as a coal tar has been determined by the Center of Disease Control to be toxic to humans. This is in my backyard, along with toxic water. Also, a member of the Conservation Committee, Ms. Underwood Miller, said, this is a real story because creosote in and of itself is toxic. Her concern being it is seeping into the Housatonic River, combining with the PCBs and creating even a more toxic environment. If you look behind where all this is dumped on Van Duzenville Road, there's a wetlands back there where animals are feeding, coyotes come in there, bear come in there, deer come in there, and that is still dumped there. Right now, right across the street, a brand new home is going in there. They pull out of their driveway, they see a rail stockyard, and no one is doing anything about it. That is another toxic substance. What this board is doing is poisoning a community, Housatonic. If it isn't the creosote, it's going to be the water, and it's got to be looked at. Thank you.
Select board time.
having a little trouble using my brain after being in this room for 2.5 hours at this temperature. But on the issue of Houstonic water, I know that everyone else in Houstonic, like myself, sees this when the temperature changes and the humidity changes as it does. I really urge people to track as much, to keep records and to send it into the health department, but knowing exactly where we're seeing it, when we're seeing it, the more as we as a community can collect the data on this, I think can really help future of this project. Sorry, not finishing my thought.
Perfect.
I don't have anything, I'm just wondering, are we signing this? Do we need to sign?
No, there'll be an official.
No, I don't have anything, thank you.
Eric.
Yep, no, I'm just gonna repeat what you said, Steve, and if anybody's having trouble with the water, we definitely have to notify the Board of Health, and it doesn't hurt to send the DPW at the state level and the DEP why they're considering these rate hikes, pictures and images as well. Putting the word out to all our representatives is always helpful. Also just wanted to thank everybody that came in for the bridge discussion, for Joe for being here, for participating. And I know a lot of people are feeling negative, but we are here, we're listening. And yeah, I know town staff is trying to do everything they can to ease the burden and pain. And it's obvious it is gonna be difficult to get us through, but I feel we'll get there. So thank you.
Thanks, Eric.
Yes, just echoing what you said, the town staff is doing all we can, and thank you to the town manager and to Joe Aberdale. So, we'll keep the pressure on, but we're still, we're there with you. So thank you to everyone that came out talking about Brookside Bridge, and thank you to the board for agreeing to release the executive session minutes from Master River.
Thank you. Media. By unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
You? Yeah.